Are you looking for the best trainer bike for kids that are in the 7 to 11-year-old range that want to learn how to ride a dirt bike safely and quickly but aren't quite ready for a manual clutch? Well, the Honda CRF110 F is a great size if you're moving up from like a 50cc, like a Honda CRF50F, and you're not quite ready for the mid-size CRF125 F, which has a manual clutch. Now, there's nothing really special about this CRF110, but that's kind of what makes it so nice. It's really well made in that it's going to be reliable. You have a 110cc air-cooled 4-stroke engine that you basically just have to keep the oil in there, keep it clean, regularly change it, keep the air filter clean, and put gas in it, keep the chain tightened, and this thing is going to last for years. It has a 4-speed semi-automatic transmission, so you still shift gears, but it's super easy to do. There's no clutch to worry about, and first gear is really low for your little kid learning how to ride, or if you're like me and want to take kids on a ride around the yard, you don't have a clutch to deal with. And these come with an electric start as well as a backup kickstarter, which you don't really need to use unless the battery goes dead. They first came out in 2013, and they had carburetors until 2018. And then in 2019, Honda upgraded quite a few things like the frame, and then they upgraded to fuel injection, which I actually prefer. But this was such a nice, clean bike that it was hard to turn down the offer on it. So as long as you're using fresh gas and you're not letting it sit for too long, you shouldn't have any carb problems. And this thing starts up pretty well. I haven't started it today. It's about 35 degrees, if that, 35 Fahrenheit. So even with the carb, turn the gas on, turn the choke on, electric start. There we go. Oh, I didn't keep the choke on long enough. But as you can see, as long as the carb is clean and jetted right, it's going to start up pretty well. And the battery is strong. It's also very nice and quiet, so you're not going to bother neighbors, or at least you shouldn't, unless you put an aftermarket exhaust on or you take the baffle out, which a lot of kids do, which sounds cool, but it's kind of dumb and it doesn't really give you more power, especially if you don't rejet it. But the suspension is nice and plush compared to like a 50 or 65cc 2-stroke motocross bike. I highly recommend staying away from those for your kid if they've never ridden a dirt bike before. They're super snappy with the power. They'll likely get scared right away, and the stiff suspension makes it feel harsh. It's more exhausting, where this plush suspension and this smooth engine, it really inspires confidence because it's soaking up the bumps at low speeds, and you twist the throttle and it doesn't feel like it's going to want to jump out underneath you. And if you're worried about going fast, or your kid wants to go fast, I can pretty much guarantee that they're going to be faster on this in the woods than a race bike, at least for the first year or two. Now, I did say that they're reliable, but they're starting to get old enough where you could find a junker, and the main things to look for are one that hasn't been maintained well. So first, you can just open up the gas cap here and just smell, and if it smells like fresh gas, that's good. But if it smells really old, kind of like paint varnish, just nasty smelling, the bike has probably been sitting for a while, which doesn't mean they didn't maintain it, but it might need some carb work, especially if it's hard to start. The next thing is checking the oil. Since these are so reliable, you can go hours and hours and hours without changing the oil and it'll keep running. But if you run it too low or too long on the same oil, this will eventually heat up the engine, cause more friction and wear on the engine parts. And if it's smoking while the engine is running, that's a good sign that they didn't maintain the engine oil or the air filter, and it's probably not going to last very long. Or you're going to deal with other problems like hard starting or fouling plugs or just lacking performance. And if you're brand new to dirt biking, I want to give you a free gift. It's my quick start beginner's guide to start dirt biking without breaking the bank, and so that you can stay safe. You can click the link in the description below. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more.